All right, we back. Wing the Sports, episode 3. And we have two guests from my alma mater, SFA. Great day to be a lumberjack, baby. I ain't never know if I can say that live, but here you go. We have Ryan Conley, Dallas Carter's own very own alum in SFA. And we have Joe Owens. I'm not sure what high school you graduated from, Joe.
Plano East, a Panther.
Man, I didn't know
Panther.
you from the Dallas area, man.
Oh yeah.
I was looking up information on both of y'all. I was trying to Google both of y'all, trying to see what I can find, and come at you with like, man, I wouldn't surprise he would know that, but I couldn't find nothing. I kept finding stuff about your son, Joe.
That's all. Yeah, I know. That's all you can find.
Okay,
I'm okay with that.
but yeah, man. I just want to ask you guys a couple of questions, about the process y'all went through with your sons being so highly recruited and going through that long enduring process, the highs and the lows, and ask you, where your mind frame was going through that. So, let me start with you, Joe, and just ask what was the most surprising thing you could say that surprised you during this process of recruiting from high school all the way to signing day.
It's coming from a collegiate athlete background and a coaching background. I think we were a lot more realistic with our expectations. But even then, we knew how talented he was, and the fact that he really wasn't getting a lot of publicity. And I'm like, what does a kid got to do? He puts up the numbers. He's got the size. He's 6'5", 220. Like, he can throw an 80-yard ball. Like, what do you got to do? And in 6A, putting up numbers like that in Texas is hard to do. And so I think probably the biggest surprise for me was just that, like the lack of attention. Like, Trey only ended up with 11 offers. Of course, Texas was the right one.
Home.
Right. They were all – we had Baylor, SMU, Tech, Washington State, UConn, Tulsa, but most of them, right around Texas.
Okay. Ryan, how about yourself, man? What was the most surprising thing you felt like you went through?
For us, it was really just kind of learning the recruitment process as it went along. And speaking of your son, he can spin it. He 11 offers. I didn't know that's all he had. He was very talented. I saw him play. I didn't know who he was. Saw him play 7-on-7, and we played after y'all when y'all played North Shore. We played last year in the third round. But yeah, I think for us it was kind of finding our way. We heard people talk about different things, but once the recruitment process get to going, it's kind of finding your way, listening to what you're being told, paying attention a lot. And like if you really pay attention to what you're being told versus what the schools are doing, how much they call and different stuff, you can kind of decipher like, who really wants you, who really interested, or who kind of just like riding the wave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
did it ever get annoying, or it was just something you welcome?
For me, I mean, I didn't like. For my son, he had got to at the beginning. It was like he was excited.
Yeah. Oh no.
His recruitment went on strong for about a year and a half. So at a certain point, kind of get old. All the talk. Now it's different, but it was back in the day when people was coming through. Now they want to FaceTime you, and you got to get in mode to shop your brain and talk. And sometimes, after it going so long, it get old. For me, it was cool. I enjoyed it being a big college football fan. So we went and saw a lot of schools. So going in certain stadiums, seeing behind the scenes, the locker room, the coaching offices, and sitting in the head office, and actually to hear them telling me they, recruit my kid, I enjoyed it. But it's to really get around, it's an investment though, especially on the unofficial business side. Like, if you really get around, it could cost.
Yeah, and that was kind of
what you got to say.
That was kind of our thing too. Was that it just wasn't in the budget to go all over the country on unofficial visits. We just couldn't afford it. So and I don't we're not hurting for money, but that just wasn't in the budget to travel just for a maybe. And to think these kids that are traveling to make their lives better, I don't know how they afford it. I've seen some of these kids that are going from East Coast to West Coast every other weekend, and I don't know how people do it. But I'm with Ryan. Like, you think you have an idea because, like, you kind of heard what so-and-so did, or you remember what we went through in college or whatever, but it's changed so much since then. But not even that, it's changed in like the last 3 or 4 years with the whole NIL and all that. And everybody's got their hands out. Everybody's got a, everybody's got their own recruiting service, and for just $500, we can do this. It's like, yeah, you do that 4 or 5 times, and all of a sudden you can't pay rent. It's, so
yeah. And so you guys, y'all had y'all sons go to schools to play football, but our co-host, DT, he just had his daughter go to on a track scholarship in San Antonio. So how was that process for you, man? I know you weren't expecting to ask no questions, but
definitely not. Man, it was kind of weird in her case because track is a different animal than what football and basketball are, because those are, those are either full scholarship or no scholarships. So track being one of the equivalency sports, meaning, they can parse out those scholars. It was like Joe and Ryan alluded to, you got to figure out who's serious and who's just kind of testing the waters. And but for Torn, it was really fun for her though, schools kind of garner interest. And they had another young lady on the team that's actually going to Baylor to run. And so that's kind of how people saw her. They're coming to the meets and they're looking at film where there she is too on those relays. And and that's what I'll tell her, baby, you got to get on some relays. And you just got to be patient, keep running, because people, they're watching. But it was good to see her, get loved on, and then finally someone willing to say, you know what, I feel like this young lady can develop. I feel like this young lady will represent the university, and there she is, man. We dropped her off last week, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Man, congratulations, man. That's
thank you. Likewise.
That track is different. It ain't as many scholarships to go around.
It's not. I think women's D1 has 16, maybe 16.5, something like that. And I mean, you got to think, there's upwards of 17, 18 events they're trying to fill up. So, but I think she's in a good spot. Like I said, people that care, knowledgeable coach, and, we're hoping for the best.
All right. So, you saying you got to, know who's real, who BSing you, what kind of red flags did y'all notice throughout the process, where y'all was like, okay, we're going to talk when we get home more about this, to kind of see where, their head is before they make a decision. Was anything like that happen with you guys?
Well, one thing that really kind of stuck out to me, and it wasn't anything that we kind of planned on, it was just in conversations, you kind of get that gut feeling based on someone's answer or their kind of tone or their facial expression, that they maybe not meant what they said or whatever. So, for instance, we were at Baylor for a game, and Sean Bell, who is now at U of H as a quarterback coach, was there at the time with Aranda, and they both made it a point to tell us and to tell Trey, he's our top recruit. Like at that time, we want him. UT did the same thing. Tech, when we asked them, they were like, well, we hadn't really put our guys in an order yet. And I was like, okay, yeah, you have, but he's not it. That's fine. Just say that. Like everybody else is telling me what, where he falls. Like we knew Trey wasn't the top of UT's offer list, but the way that they do it was they never have more than 3 outstanding offers for quarterbacks. So if their first guy commits somewhere else, then they offer one more. Another guy, commits somewhere else, then they offer another one. And so that's the way they do it, where some people have like the shotgun approach where they just throw out 14 offers and hope one of them lands. Whereas UT, I thought, kind of did it in reverse with Trey. Was they really loved him. They really, before they offered him in November of his junior year, but they had been recruiting him for probably a year prior, like talking to him and bringing him to camps, bringing him to junior days, bringing him to pool parties and barbecues and all that type of stuff. And before they ever offered him. So they did a really good job on the recruiting side of making us feel comfortable with UT and buying in the program and things like that. Whereas some schools, it was, you knew they were just kind of doing the bare minimum. You could just feel it,
Yeah.
Ryan, by yourself, because you went out of state, so you had a different monster to tackle.
Yeah, so we went a lot of we went and saw a lot of schools, and that was kind of our thing. Was all right, so you only get to choose one. So for us, the schools that's really consistent with the communication, getting to know me and my wife is the parents, like, and really trying to go after you. Like once we narrowed it down to he narrowed down to like his top 10. It was like, all right, we want to go as many of those schools. We gonna go see as many of them as we can. So I think we seen like 9 of the 10, and then just kind of see, because some people was offering, and then that's kind of a part of it that a lot of people don't know. People on the outside looking in feel like Braylon had, I think he finished with like 40 offers, but you're not talking to 40 schools every week. You know what I'm saying? Get it like, oh, we got 40 offers, man. Your phone just blowing up. When they coming in consistently, it gets that way. But some people offer, and you may talk to them twice within a 3-4 month period. You know what I'm saying? Like you kind of, but people that was consistent, they just kind of what we kind of lean towards. And then like he was, like Joe was saying, you got to really pay attention to what you're being told. And then you kind of look, after you talk to a person so many times, you're looking at personality. Is it I call it a car salesman approach. Always trying to pitch it and trying not, or do you ever get to see the genuine person? Like, where y'all having conversations where they ain't even about football or about your, they just.
That is a good question, Mike.
That's kind of what we did with Shannon Dawson, who at the time was at U of H. Now he's at Miami. And we sat, he's actually, he's Taylor Bunch's cousin. I don't know if you remember him, Zach, but Taylor Bunch, I think he might have been after your time. He was a running back for us.
No, I don't recall him.
Okay, he transferred in.
What's up, JD?
What's that?
You good? You good? JD just spoke to us.
Yeah, he was a big recruiting. He was easy to talk to. We sat and talked to him at one of their events for probably 2.5 hours. Just easy to shoot the breeze with. It wasn't like you said, it wasn't all football. It wasn't all sales pitch. It was just sitting and chatting. And that goes a lot, at least with my wife and I, that goes further than the whole football part, because eventually the football is going to be done. And what kind of person did molded your son for the last 4 or 5 years or 3 years or however long it takes?
Yeah. And one of our key things was get a feel for the person. Like when you don't have the whistle around your neck, that was always one of my things. Like when you don't have the whistle attached on the field, what does that relationship look like? Because my son always said like he didn't really care how far he went, and for us, we didn't really care either. We didn't know he was going to end up going as far, but you get a kid, you get an important time in their life. So I need to know that when he's just not having the best day or whatever, not even football related, he can come to you anytime and you available for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But how often do you guys communicate with them? Because on this path that they've been on, you guys have really been a role model and example for them. So I know they lean on y'all a lot for a lot of questions and answers as they're going through. So the communication didn't stop.
Right.
Nah, you talk about how often I talk to my son or the coaches?
How do you talk to your son?
We talk every day. But it's not always like he needs something or he got to ask something. It's just like a check-in. It's funny though. Before he went to school, we never FaceTime hardly unless he's trying to show me something. Now, it's just when you do call or when I do call, it's FaceTime. And I guess because it's you're not present every day, so it's just easy. But yeah, sometimes he just call and as if he was home just trying to show us something funny or something.
Yeah.
But at some point, either text or talk, we pretty much every day since he's been gone.
Yeah, our big thing is like sharing jokes and videos and stuff like that. So we still communicate that way, but probably every 2 or 3 days we'll get on a speakerphone with Christy and I and chat with them, make sure things are all right. But I mean, as soon as they hit the ground, it was like morning to night. They had school, workouts, meetings, practice, film review. So there's not a lot of free time.
No, sir.
Okay, so you guys sounds a plan. So they were able to sign NIL deals?
Yeah. I mean, we've signed some small ones so far. The big thing that we've talked about with like the collectives and NILs, whatnot. I mean, NIL, you can go get whatever deal you want. Like sometimes they'll do stuff brought to you, but sometimes it's just for memorabilia, and they'll pay you X amount per piece or whatever, or they'll pay you X amount for a photo shoot to be on a billboard or to make an appearance at a birthday party or something like that. And it's all that stuff. Really, some of those bigger schools, like I know UT does it, and I'm sure USC does as well. But so the bigger schools, a lot of times they'll bring stuff to you. They'll have guys that's kind of their job. Whereas a lot of our stuff has been organic. We just happen to meet people that can help us out. And, as far as from the school, that's all changing now too with the lawsuit that just went through, the $20 billion lawsuit or whatever. So, I don't know how the schools are going to manage how they're paying their players now. Is it going to be like a menu, like offensive line gets this, quarterback gets this, running back gets this, or does everybody get a set amount? Because that's not how the league is, So
who did that lawsuit?
It was NCAA, and I know the guy's last name is
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Kessler, I think. So one of the guys that's an agent for Athletes First, his dad was the league counsel on that lawsuit. So this guy's an agent for Athletes First, and his dad was the league counsel for that lawsuit. So, yeah.
Everybody trying to get a piece of the pie. What about yourself? How did your son end up getting his little deals?
Well, he hadn't moved around on that note. I mean, they have a collective, that now every school don't have it. USC do, so he's doing okay, but he hadn't ventured. I think, or with a lot of schools, the more for players, that's the good thing with players nowadays. Once you become like a starter and you really performing, then it's endless opportunity. Your USCs, your Texases, your Alabamas, yeah. So it's right now he on the young end of it, but once you can get to a school, that caliber, those type of schools, and perform,
it don't take long.
Really.
Yeah. That's kind of how it's broken down to us. Was once you make the two deep, then stuff will just start happening. Like you can try and force things to happen, and you're probably going to sell yourself short, but if you just are patient and let the people that really have the money come to you, then it's like you said, the sky's the limit. I mean, these people are willing to pay it. And
us too, throughout the recruiting process, schools would pitch what they had going on as far as what they was offering, whatever. Like for us, that wasn't the end all be all. At the end of the day, you want to be somewhere where you come, it's a good fit and all of that. Then for me, it's the long term. You know what I'm saying? Sure, it's the long game. Take money out just because they offer more, but at the same time, they really don't even have plans for you. They just want the rival school to get you. But what they really, so for us.
What UCLA was trying to recruit them too?
No. I'm just using that as an example.
Oh, okay.
But for us, like now we ain't crazy. We know the collected NIL money is there, so we want what he do, but at the same time, we didn't press the issue on. How much y'all like it wasn't like that, and then depending on the dollar amount, gonna sway us one way or the other.
And really, it's been my experience that the guys that can do that are your top dogs. Yeah. Everybody else has a turn off for the schools. They don't want to hear that. They're like Sarkisian. His whole thing during the official, he was like, "I'll talk NIL all you want, but until you have proven to me that you want to be a Longhorn, I'm not going to talk NIL because that's not why you should be here." Either you want to be here or you don't. If you want to be here, great. Here's what we can offer you. If you don't want to be here, thanks for playing. We're just not going to go down that road. So, and I think there's some guys we lose out on.
Keep shopping around.
Some of those big name guys that we lose out on because they're not willing to do that. And it's like, we're not going to pay for talent. Like, yeah, we'll reward talent, but we're not going to go and buy a team. Like, look at A&M a couple of years ago, had the #1 recruiting class, supposedly cost them like $30 million or whatever it was. And then 2/3 of them are in the portal by the spring. What good is that mean?
That's major. Taylor, man, you got any questions?
I mean, having you guys and, being highly touted in terms of recruiting, what are some of the more quirky, okay, let me ask one question. What, and I don't want to put anybody on Front Street, but were there schools that, came around and you guys are like, why is this school even trying? And how did you guys handle that?
Nah.
Go ahead.
We didn't really. That's one thing I always told my son, man. You always, stay humble, want to be grateful for what you have coming your way. So, dude, one of the biggest things, we don't like turn our nose up to nobody, because you never know where that coach gonna end up at or how y'all may cross paths later on. You know what I'm saying? So, if you're a talented player, some talented players just know, like, such and such school come across like, how you feel. Oh, I feel like I can do better than that.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, some players can say that, but then some players say that, and that's not reality. But we never tripped on anybody. Whoever came around, we talked to them and cordial with them, because, like I said, know how you cross bridges. How things go. So, nah, and they just kind of learning, like a teaching moment too, for your son coming up, that can help him later on in life.
Yeah, we took Trey to some camps during his freshman year, and one of them was like a 1AA D2 D3 camp, and he was kind of like, he was already better than a lot of the kids that were out there, and he was like, I'm not really interested in these schools. I was like that, but like what you just said, Ryan, these guys, by the time you're a junior and senior in high school, or maybe a freshman in college, all of a sudden they're going to be somewhere else, and they'll remember your name. Like Trey's first offer was from UTSA. Well, guess where that guy went? He's now the Oregon OC. So I mean, things happen. So don't like you said, don't turn your nose up at anybody, because you never know where those coaches are going to end up.
That's a great example. When did that coach end up going to Oregon?
After last fall was his first fall, I think.
Mm-hmm. So after, I think UTSA, I think they won conference. I think they went to a pretty decent bowl. They may have been like, I don't know, 10-2, 11-1.
Yep, and they just
Texas in that bowl game that year. I remember this in the conference championship, I should say.
Yep.
All right. So, everybody excited about college football, but you guys got to experience your sons at the college football, game in person. How was that experience for you guys?
Man,
say.
In Vegas.
Yeah, it was. You look, you see your son go on visits and do like the photo shoot and the whole nine, but to see him like actually like, okay, like the team, yeah, and he on the young end, he didn't play, he didn't play this past week, but like first game of the season, you out there suited up. I'm watching them go through warm-ups, like just sitting in the stands, like, yeah, like
it's real.
Yeah, it's real. To be sitting in a record-breaking crowd in the Raiders Allegiant Stadium, it was cool. And then the game, was almost an instant classic. So that was better. But seeing that and like seeing some of the pictures he sent us that they media team sent to them or whatever, you sit there and sit back and think about like, man, what the goal was. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I seen you was good at football. The goal was free schooling. That's always was the goal, free schooling. And to actually be sitting in that moment, like, you had that moment in recruitment when coaches would call you personally and like marquee name head coaches calling your phone. But then to see him, where he decided to go, where he's happy at, to see him actually out there on the field with the uniform on. And I'm a big dude. College football, like football, the best time of the year, but college football is the best level of football. When you think back to even like UT, USC, and different programs, it's different type of, the blue blood
rivalries and legacies and traditions and
nah,
all that stuff.
we enjoyed it, man. We enjoyed it for real.
Joe, how did you like 6th Street?
Hadn't been to 6th Street yet as a parent. But no, it's pretty surreal because, just a year ago they were playing high school football, and it's like they were kids, even though they were big kids, they were kids, and now all of a sudden they look like they fit in a college football team, and it's like, I don't know, it's couldn't wipe a smile off my face. I mean, the way that he rolled in January and just like immediately just, I don't know, took on the role of college athlete. He didn't screw around, and there wasn't a long learning curve. He wasn't failing classes or skipping or getting in trouble. He just hit the ground running, because I think he's finally realized that, this is my means to my end. We've always talked about a gold jacket mentality. So it was never a state title was not the goal. Scholarship was not the goal. NCAA championship, Heisman, none of that's the goal. If it happens, great. But the goal is to be in Canton. So as long as you keep your eyes on the prize, then the rest of this stuff's not really going to matter. Like even if you don't graduate from UT because you played for 3 years and you go to the league, okay, that wasn't part of the goal. Like, yes, that'd be great to do it after the fact or to do it on your way to Canton. But if it doesn't happen, it's not a heartbreak. Some kids, all they want to do is win a Heisman, or all they want to do is win a Natty, and then they never do it. Like, well, does that mean you're a failure for the rest of your life? No, you did some really great things. So don't get too set on the little things that are really out of your control.
Yeah, and I want to say, man, congrats to both of you guys, man, your sons. I know that's they have bigger goals to achieve, because there was a goal to be on a scholarship, get free education, to play at this kind of level, and now, like y'all continue to talk to them, that this is the next step, this next chapter that they're creating for themselves, and they didn't pick no school, where they could go and start right away. They picked a challenge. You know what I'm saying? So they looking to improve themselves day by day. They know it's a journey. So I look forward to continue watching them as they finish their careers out, and they got my support 100%.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I really
yes, indeed. Major ups. Real quickly, because both you guys, kids were freshmen, and just so happened that both these schools just moved to new, bigger, quote unquote, conferences. How did this, play into, the commitment from you guys to that school, knowing that they were going from, one governing body to another? Joe, we'll start with you.
Go ahead, Joe.
Y'all seen Forrest Gump, right?
Yeah, one of my favorite movies.
So, like, he never really did anything with the end in mind. He just kind of lived his life, and stuff happened to him, right? Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but it all was like monumental things. And that's kind of been the same way with Trey's journey. Like, so he actually transferred to Cy-Fair. We were zoned at the time for Cy Woods, which is where I used to coach. We were zoned there. And then we actually moved to where we're zoned to yet another school. But because my wife worked in the district, we could transfer them to that school. Well, they were the only school in the district that ran like a pro style offense. Everybody else was running spread, and that didn't really benefit Trey a whole lot. And then we enroll him in this school. Well, then the coach retires. And so we're like, okay, crap. Well, what's that mean for him? Is he still going to be the guy? Well, then they hired the coach, but the guy that they hired to coach was a former quarterback at Cy-Fair that had won a state title a couple of years prior at a smaller school. And so he and Trey like meshed real well. And the reason I brought up Forrest Gump, it was like things just kind of fell in place. it's not like we had, that we were guiding things to happen. It was like, do the right thing, work your butt off, and good things are going to happen. And, yeah, he was, I wouldn't say disappointed, but, I think that's probably the best word for it, as far as his lack of offers or limited amount of offers. And, but then we kept telling him, you just got to pick one. You don't have 40 of them. You just got to have one good one. And I was like, UT is looking like it's going to be the place. And then they offered him, and it was like, how do you turn that down? Like, as a quarterback, where else are you going to go right now? Where? I mean,
work with Sark. I mean,
but look who he behind too. What better mentors?
Well, in that, and even that with the whole Forrest Gump thing, he was, when he signed, he was number 5, and before he got on campus, 2 of them had left. So right off the bat, from 5 to 3, he's 2 plays away from holding the keys to the Ferrari. That's pretty damn good, And he's, every chance he's gotten between enrolling and like the spring game and scrimmage and all that, he's balled out. So it's like, okay, you're where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Nah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, I think for me, I mean, I don't know, the conference really didn't matter. I mean, I was cool with the Pac-12. One of the things I did tell him though, with going to the Big Ten, Pac-12, 2 different styles. Big Ten, more run game, more. And my son, his style of cornerback, he's a more physical corner. He liked to hit. So for me, I was telling him, going to the Big Ten, that plays right into your, right. It ain't many that can shed the block, hold it down and make, and really come up and hit. In the Big Ten, it's going to be more of that ass of a corner than it is in the Pac-12. But I mean, we was fine with the Pac-12. So, but
it's gonna be colder too, so you can put some sleeves on.
The thing with the weather, coming up, he's always played in different weather. And now you in college now, so any extra, we ain't got to go to academy no more and Dix and all
no, 100%.
he gonna have more stuff than he can put on for certainly.
So, we really worry about that. Just think about it. If you are, and it's not, if it happens, fine. If it don't, cool. Like our goal was the free education, and then where it goes from there is where it goes. But if you're a kid and you really thinking about, if you really love football and you thinking about the weather, man, you go to the league, you don't have no control.
No whatsoever.
At some point you're, but the conference didn't matter. It's actually pretty cool because actually, Joe, y'all go this week.
Yeah.
To Michigan.
Michigan. I'm not going, but
so they play Michigan this week. We have a bye after this week, and then we go to Michigan. So I get a chance to go to the big house. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
That's like as for me, that's like a cool
a trip right there.
That's how I was when I seen the Coliseum, like to really college football and to see those type of schools, the stadiums and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
Also, man, with you guys playing, looking so as good as you did this weekend, I'm really kind of expecting you guys to be in the 12 team playoffs. That's what I'm looking forward to, and then you guys might have opportunity. You might be playing against each other too. We might have to have y'all on the show that week. End up having to play each other, man. There's a bunch of possibilities, that might happen.
There you go.
I'm still taking it all in.
No doubt.
Boy, man, love the coaching staff that Lincoln brought in, and just good people, man. Good people in the building. Good, good coaches, personalities, and then just the staff in the building. Just good people, man. And Braylon's transition was pretty much seamless. It was almost scary that he, so far away from home. And one of the biggest things, the older guys, they're real big on taking in the youngsters. My son, so much easier. A lot of them, like I told, man, to win, to get props from your peers, them the hardest people to gain, respect from. So for us, it's been cool. I'm 1 week at a time and enjoying the ride, man. But I think we have we have a little sleeper season on the way, I think.
I believe so too.
Right. Yes,
Yep.
indeed. Both squads look good, man. USC, man, they actually studded up. The other team's punter came out there a couple times. You gotta love it.
Yeah. And I think the timing and everything is cool too. With a new defense coach staff coming in, you coming in with them as a freshman. Rather it be your first year than they leave or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
that college
Oh,
football
yeah.
thing is you just never know.
Revolving door.
Position coaches. So, it's exciting, man. We excited to be there for sure.
Joe, what about your son with Quinn and Archie, in front of him,
Well, that's a lot of people ask why Texas when you got Quinn and Arch ahead of you, and even when he signed, he had Quinn and Arch and Malik and Charles and all these guys in front of him. And at some point you got to bet on you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to bet on your kid. You can't say, yeah, those guys are really good. Maybe you should try over here. Be like, no. Where do you want to play? Who do you want to play for? Are you willing to compete against this guy or not? If you're not, okay, let's go somewhere else. And I think that was where UT struggled to get a lot of, top tier recruits, if you will, because they want to go out there and play and they want to be the guy on showcase, not let Arch Manning steal the thunder. And Trey was like, look, I need one good year. Everybody calls him Mac Jones 2.0. He's like, I don't need to play for 5 years. I don't need to start for 5 years. I mean, I'll get maybe some cleanup reps this year. I'll get some reps next year, and then I'll have a season, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Did he play Saturday?
No, he didn't play Saturday. He was going to play, and then the last drive that they held him, they muffed a punt and ended up being on our own 5-yard line. And Sark was like, I'm not going to burn a game for you just to hand the ball off 3 times. We're not going to do that. So
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, he's the emergency quarterback then.
Right.
Okay.
And if they have to use him later in the year, they could. If they had played him against Colorado State, then they have to use him later in the year. Then he might be at risk of losing his red shirt. Whereas if they hold off on Colorado State and then they have to play him, to get out of a game, or God forbid something happens to 1 and 2, then he can still keep his red shirt as long as he doesn't hit that 5th game.
No, yeah, they definitely had more games to save that red shirt than what they used to, which is great.
Yeah.
One of the things we do
Go ahead.
about that with the red shirt thing, we knew about the 4 games, but a conference championship game, bowl game, don't count against your 4.
That's not.
They didn't know.
Those are additional extended season
So
caveats.
You could potentially play 4 games during the season, play 2 games, then play 6 games.
Mm-hmm. And still redshirt.
Yeah.
And still redshirt. And then medical.
Yeah,
and then you got COVID. And then you got
medical, COVID, emergency.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, y'all saw the guy from Miami. This is my guy's
9th year? Yeah, 9th year?
Wait a minute. Not Cam Ward.
No. That's a tight end, man. I think he's like the university president. He's maybe the provost now.
He's on the board of regents.
Yeah, that dude's like 28, man. Yeah, he's on the board of no doubt.
28.
No
doubt. When I coached at A&M Commerce,
students.
When I coached at A&M Commerce, I was I just graduated from SMA about 21, 22. My running backs were 27. 27. I'm 21, 22. Hey, they was like, damn, okay, that's just what that is. They were pro potential. They just didn't have the pro numbers.
Yep.
They had the attributes, not the numbers though. But let me see what else I got here. All right, I got a good question for you. So you have your kids. They want to be college athletes. What moment did you know that they was ready for the next level? What did they do to kind of make you say they ready? It just stood out to you.
So for me, Brandon was always good in Little League. He was, but back then it was like, man, I can't wait to see him play on Friday Night Lights. Texas football. So when when he got to high school, you know, you get to high school and all the people merging from our middle schools, and you kind of seen what the talent gonna look like for their class. When he got to high school and like a seamless string balling at a high level, and on that, like at that particular high school, you know, 21-6A, one of the hardest, toughest districts in the state. I was like, yeah, he got it. I knew he was, like I said, when he got to high school is when I knew, when I seen it. Like, yeah, I'm talking about like 9th grade.
Okay, so as a freshman, he was on freshman, or he played up, or what?
8th freshman, but to see what type of talent come through that school each year, and to see it with that freshman class, they were loaded with talent.
Yeah.
Well, Z, you know who's on Tascasito's team, right?
Block kid.
Yeah, all of them. all 10 of them are going to go through Tascasito.
So it was then I was like, yeah, he gonna be straight.
Okay, freshman year he stood out. That's what's up. How about yourself, Joe? When did Joe show you?
Two parts. You know, being a former athlete and former coach, I think the point where I just shut up and stopped being coach and started being dad was probably the spring of his freshman year. He was playing 7-on-7, and I was standing back behind, just kind of watching or coaching or whatever, and he throws this ball to this kid that's just got a DB draped on him. I'm like, meanwhile, there's a kid running scot-free, and I go, why in the world would you throw to a covered receiver instead of the open guy? He goes, because I don't trust his hands, and because that just got a flag and got us a first down. I was like, okay, you're thinking, you got a whole different level of or way of thinking. So that was when I kind of backed off, and then probably his junior year of high school when he just, threw for 4,000 yards or whatever it was. Like his touchdown to interception ratio was so lopsided, and I was like the same thing. You're doing this at a 6A Texas division. It's like, okay, maybe he is it. And then seeing him at that spring game, you know, beating Arch, you know, that was the big thing. And he put together a drive, like a last-minute drive to drive down and score and go up by 1. It's just kind of like, okay, all right, you can do this, kid.
And when you know, you know.
That's right.
When did you know Gogi, you know, was going to, you know, do what she did? You know, his daughter, that's her nickname, Gogi.
Man, yeah. Man, you know what? In my household, the track was the contract sport. But I didn't have them do, you know, track, like summer track when they were little. You know, I didn't have them do that. They played all the other sports. But once they got to 7th grade, everybody had to run track. That was the one thing everyone was going to do. Because I feel like you can find yourself. There's something for you in track. You know, there's something that you can be good at and decent at. And I think for me, man, she was on varsity her freshman year. And to see her 4x1 go to regional and just the poise, they didn't make it to state, but, you know, just, you know, for her being, you know, 14 at the state meet, and it was all freshmen. It was 4 freshmen on there. And you know, just to see her poise, you know, it wasn't a big deal for her. She just got out there, she ran, she competed, she understood, you know, the situation of, you know, what happened. And, you know, but at that time she was still kind of playing basketball. And that was the tough thing. And a lot of girls run into it when they're hoopers and they're tracksters. Unfortunately, the way the UIL sets up the seasons, they have to choose one for the most part. Now, if you're just a stud, then it is what it is. But for the most part, the girls have to choose. And then her junior year, she had to give up basketball, but she was really, really a great athlete. You know, she could jump. I mean, the girl got some hops, man. It's crazy. I know she can touch the little bottom of the backboard for certain. And Gogi's probably 5'6". So yeah, she can get up. But when she actually dropped the basketball, got herself into the track class, then I felt very, very strongly about her being able to get to the next level. You know, and somebody, like we're talking about, somebody paying for her to get up there and get better. You know, because that just let me know she's willing to make that tough choice.
So DT ran track at North Texas and qualified for nationals too, fellas. You know, it just wasn't no, you know,
wasn't luck of the draw, huh?
Flash in the pan, yeah. You know, he has the pedigree.
I had a good feeling.
His son is doing big things too. He's kind of like Blaylock, youngest son, that's a freshman. Ryan at
my son lost to Jelani. I know y'all know that name, and he got second in state in 100. He's a sophomore.
Okay.
So yeah.
What school he go to?
He's at North Side, San Antonio, Harlan.
Okay.
I think I remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tate Taylor.
You know Jelani Watkins, ain't that his last name?
Mm-hmm.
Reed, yeah.
Yeah. So it was Jelani, him, and then Caden Durham. So he's in good company. 2 LSU guys, and he got his first offer, believe it or not, Conley, from, you guessed it, USC.
For track or for
track.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen him play football. That's probably not where we want to go with that.
Fair enough. Yeah.
They track facility, like the track facility is right next to the football.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
But they got trophies.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Olympics, like how many Olympic runners and stuff really came through the college track, but USC, they got a lot of trophies and a lot of lineage that came through there for the track. And that's a big time offer. But I do that was cool. Red Braylon with Jelani, we call him Red, but they got each other after the game.
Okay. Oh, okay, that's what's up. Because he's at the LSU.
Yeah, he was at LSU.
Yeah. And I posted, they was able to take a picture together after the game, so that was cool.
Oh, Red. I wish I would have known that.
So, my last question, before we, go in further. Oh, DT, Chris Word said, nice Chardonnay with your conversation.
I see Word up in here, man.
All right. So, Ryan, I heard you played basketball, back in the day at Carter. I couldn't get no stories from nobody. I was asking around. My cousin, Zephaniah Smalley?
Yeah, Zeph. He was one year older than me. We went to
that's my little cousin, man.
Yeah, we went to middle school.
Him and Moses. I worked with Moses a couple of years. So I'm like, man, what did Ryan do, man? What sports did he play? Was he defender? Nobody didn't want to give me nothing, man. I wanted to come back with you and let you know I had a little something, I done researched.
You talking about Harris?
Moses Harris.
Yeah, me and Mo graduated together.
Okay. Yeah. Did you and your son ever play basketball together? Like, did it come to a point where, he's faster than you, he could beat you in this? Like, did y'all ever have them kind of threshold moments?
So I ain't never. I mean, as I got older, I really wasn't. So and people always tripped on that because people knew me from growing up from playing basketball, but my son was good at football. But when he was young, he ain't like basketball. He only liked football until like 5th grade, maybe. He got a goal for Christmas, liked it, played a few years, like little AAU stuff, whatever, but he never took to it like that. And it's funny because I coached him from 5 to like 12. But I never. He was a really elite defender in basketball, but football was gonna trump everything. He high school stuff like that, but as I got older, man, I wasn't hooping or none of that stuff.
You let it go.
Yeah. Joe,
you have any moments like that?
Well, I think when kids are little, you kind of let them win. You're not quite so hard on them. And then there's that, like you said, that switch flips, and you're like, okay, now I'm not letting him win. I'm really trying to beat him.
Yeah.
But we are a competitive household, so it doesn't matter what. You could be playing dominoes, and it's probably going to end up in a fight because somebody's going to accuse somebody of cheating or get mad or whatever. We play Mexican train a lot. We play a bunch of different games and whatnot, and there's times when it gets out of hand. But part of being competitive.
Yeah, but that's just part of who they are. That's why they chose the school they chose. That's why they have the dreams they have and the goals they have, because losing not in their vocabulary. So man, I just I mean, I probably haven't talked to you guys ever, but I'm Facebook friends with you guys. And, that's one thing I like about Facebook. You can stay connected with people who you probably wouldn't even keep in contact with, talk to, communicate, none of that stuff. But I see your stories, man. And, that's why when I started my podcast back, I was like, I want to bring more people. I don't want to just talk sports, man. I want to hear different stories because everybody got a different story to tell, and I appreciate you guys coming on.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys sharing, man. And I mean, big ups, man. Such a big deal. And it's kind of crazy. It's kind of only the beginning. So I'm looking forward, man. I played corner, Ryan, so I'm gonna be checking them out, baby.
Yeah, check him out, man. He just putting in the work right now, waiting his turn.
Yes, sir.
And respecting the process.
So, Ryan, I know you had Blaylock training your son. Joe, where did you go? To get Joe some look training for the next level.
Well, we actually went to Blaylock during COVID because we had the time to drive all the way over there. But since 4th grade, it's been JP Tillman. He trained DJ Lagway. He trained, I don't know if you remember Demetrius that was at North Shore.
He won a couple state titles.
Yeah, trained him. Trained, oh crap, who else has been through? He's had a couple other that you probably remember, but over there with Rashad Whitfield at Footwork King, at that facility, we've been with JP's for 9 years now. And then once the 7-on-7 stuff started, then he had another guy that was Kenny Miller who still works with today. He still works with JP and Kenny, but Kenny was more the 7-on-7 and JP was more the quarterback coach, and they've all kind of molded into one now. But yeah, I had some really good role models and really good coaches and really good people that saw the potential in him. Because I played line, I couldn't tell you what a good quarterback. I could now. I can watch now, but I can't look at a 4th grader and go, yeah, he's got a pretty good natural motion. So,
Ryan, about yourself, how long did he go with Blaylock? I think you had him training right before he went to USC.
Yeah, so we had been going to Block. I mean, we always been living in this area, you know what I'm saying? And me and Block was familiar with each other from
SFA.
Same people, and then end up meeting, and he started like training up there. He had went a couple times when he was younger, but you remember B North?
Yeah,
B North doing some DB work when he made that transition of DB to corner in the 10th grade. B North used to do block DB classes up there, so he's being it. When the season ended this past senior year is when we did block, had him for about 5-6 months, just strengthen speed training before he went to school, trying to put some weight on and stuff. So yeah.
Okay. I didn't know B North of that. Me and B North was neighbors at in Hall 20, man. We came in together. So he was a safety, I was a receiver. So yeah, that's my boy. Yep. And Joe, what year did you come to SFA? Because I know
the fall of 98.
98. Was Coach Mack still there?
Coach Mack was still there. Coach Pierce was still there.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Pierce's last season.
Yeah. Okay. So you got some Coach Mack stories then, because
well, he's back. Mack is back.
I know he's the head coach. Last week I had Coach Davis and Michael Ricks on, man. Yep. That's all we did was just tell stories. I ain't really have to ask no question. We just reminiscing. But Coach Mack, man, I remember one day, Coach Mack was the O-line coach, but like you knew Mack's voice. He was so loud. But Mack, I want to say they counted how many times he said the word fuck. Was you a part of that group, Joe?
That wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me.
Hey, man, like in one spiel, Mack said fuck like 70 fucking, they counted like 70 times. Like 70 like that.
I'll never forget one time Fabian trying to fight in the middle of practice. We were doing team, good on good. And I don't know, somebody cheap shot him or whatever. He took his helmet off and we're like, don't ever take your helmet off in a fight. And it's about that time somebody clocks him right in the face. I'm like,
yeah, that's probably the first thing you want to.
Yeah, make sure it's tight.
Exactly.
We're having some problems with Ryan, but yeah, man, the 12-team playoff, man. I really hope you guys. I really look forward to you guys making it, because I was impressed with both teams. Lincoln coming in with a defense. That was the only knock that we had against USC, was they never had any defense, and they looked the part, because LSU quarterback looked pretty good too.
Man, it was a really good. It looked like college football to me, and that was such a great thing to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I think that Sark's done a good job of is building this team for the SEC. So we have a lot of depth at pretty much every position.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a huge fall off from ones to twos, or maybe twos to threes a little bit, but not a whole lot. It may just be because of youth. Whereas, like I'm interested to see how USC fits in with the Big Ten, because they're used to being a hard nosed downhill type of football, versus USC was a little more, at least in the more recent past, is a little more finesse. Like they got the speed demons, just running like the Reggie Bushes and those types. And it's
number one they got, whatever it lad number one, that little boy there, good God.
Yeah.
Man, he a little hiccup, boy.
Yeah, I think somebody said that our first two receiver cores could be a legit 4x1 team.
I believe it.
Like
because when y'all running backs got hurt, like y'all starting running back got hurt, then the backup running back got hurt, and I was like, man, like, do that mean something? DT, like, man, they got him in succession. It ain't gonna drop off much. And I was like, well, let's see. And we saw Saturday.
Well, and one of them, Savion Red, he transferred out in the spring. He would have been in the mix too.
Yeah,
he would have been starting probably.
That's the same thing you said with the quarterbacks. That's how your son got his position. They don't want to wait their turn. Perseverance is not a part of their repertoire anymore.
Yep, unfortunately.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's parents, or I don't know if it's the NIL or what it is, but I mean,
let's just blame the internet, Joe. Can we blame social media? Let's just blame social media.
Well, I mean,
you got to have it right now, all the time, everywhere.
I mean that's there's definitely something to be said about that. But I mean, I don't know. I think you it's almost like bumpers. Like everybody's going to have to bowl, but maybe you put up bumpers to kind of guide it down the lane so they don't fall off in a gutter. Like we've been on Trey forever about social media, and like, don't put something out there you don't want to have forever, because somebody will find it if it's out there. And knock on wood, he's done a pretty good job of even Ryan, like you were saying, how he like hit the ground. It was like he's a different kid immediately. Like he handles his business differently. He speaks to us differently. He just it's I don't know. Like when he came home, he went and visited his grandparents, and us ever even telling him, like, make sure you go see your grandparents. He just like, hey, I got to go see them. And it was like, he's never done that. So something's teaching him, right? So
that's that simple. He was listening when y'all didn't think he was listening.
Did either one of your boys reclassify and go out in the spring? They both graduated in the spring and went out in fall camp.
Well, Trey graduated in December and started in January UT.
Okay. Yeah, I know a lot of kids. I had a corner who did that this past season, and man, that's such a good look. I think. I mean,
it is. Well, in 18, I think we signed. I think we signed 23 with this class. 18 of them enrolled early, and then
man, that is crazy.
And 13 of them got on the field. 13 of them got on the field on Saturday.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, you can go through a whole, weight cycle, 2 or 3 weight cycles, and get acclimated to, without the pressures of the travel of the game. And, during the season, man, it's balls to the wall, man.
Yep.
And come in that spring and get acclimated to your classes and time management. I think I hardly ever see it go wrong when these kids just go ahead and graduate December and get on up out of here.
Yeah. Well, and also you get a peek behind the curtain, and it doesn't cost you anything, because they are on scholarships, so somebody else is paying for you to be there. Yep. If you like, that's what Quinn did with Ohio State. Once he got there, he realized how far down the depth chart he was going to be. So he's like, well, instead of wasting a year here, I'm going to transfer out. And those guys that enroll early, you get that option to test yourself against the best of the best, or whatever that school can offer. And
it didn't hurt him. It just let him.
Queen got all the way out of there. He got out of there. He was there.
His senior
fall of his senior year. He was already at Ohio State.
That was different, but
He didn't play his senior year in high school. He said, "The hell with it, I'm gone." And
that's
I
what-
love that. I love those options for these guys. If someone is willing to give you the money and the means to further your career in a good situation, take advantage.
Yep. That's why I tell Trey all the time. I was like, now is the only time in your life you can be selfish.
Great
You know,
point.
once you get married, once you have a job, once you have kids, selfish goes out the window. But right now, I said, it's all about you.
Yeah,
Do for you.
I don't think either one of them picked their schools because of their girlfriend. So that's that's a bonus in my book. But man, I don't really have much to ask. I just really want to kind of, pick your brains a little bit to kind of see what their process was like, man. I like being, on the outside looking in. I like everything that's going on, and I want to have you guys back, toward the end of the season, and we can come back and talk about how the ride was, until the playoffs, man. Because I'm predicting you guys to be in the playoffs, so we got something to look forward to.
Man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot, man. So, spending you guys' time and sharing and, celebrating, man. I'm looking forward to seeing these guys, out there, man. Especially quarterback. Z knows I'm a quarterback at heart, man. I play corner, man. Since I couldn't play it, I had to go, try to
So yeah, man. Until we meet again, man. It was great having you on here, man. So love, peace, and hair grease, fellas.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Stay on,
indeed.
DT.
Later, guys.
Man, I was trying to see if anybody. I saw a couple people in the chat. Threw it out.